Hi, I'm Marc, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on the politics in Asia and Oceania. And that's where we start today. Australian intelligence has dug up a major spy ring. This was reported by the head of the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, the ASIO, Mike Burgess, in his annual speech on the country's security. Allegedly, these are Russian Secret Service employees who are said to have posed as diplomats. The head of the Secret Service spoke of undeclared, covertly operating people who had been in the country for a long time. The number of spies that have now been unmasked is again larger and more dangerous than a nest that was dug up 2 years ago. But now a whole beehive has been switched off, as they put it. Burgess did not name the spies' country of origin. The Sydney Morning Herald, on the other hand, claims to have found out that they were Russians who worked from the embassy in Canberra, among other places. The newspaper reported on Friday. The spy ring's goal was to recruit Australians with access to classified information and use sophisticated technology to steal data and communicate without being intercepted. While hundreds of Russian diplomats were expelled from the United States and Europe, Australia tried to carry out counter-espionage operations. However, there have also been attempts from China to influence Australian soldiers and military personnel. Inflation in Japan continues to rise. Consumer prices, excluding fresh food, rose by 4.2% in January compared to the same month last year. That's what the government announced in Tokyo on Friday. This is the strongest increase since September 1981. The Japanese central bank is paying particular attention to the rate. Bank economists have expected an average of 4.3%. Total consumer prices, that means including fresh food, rose even more significantly by 4.3%. This is also the strongest increase in a long time. Market expectations were met there. Inflation in Japan is lower compared to other major economies, but high by Japanese standards. The government has therefore already initiated relief measures that should soon dampen official inflation rates. Nevertheless, inflation is likely to remain above the Bank of Japan's target of 2%. However, the central bank takes the position that the price increases are not sustainable. A concrete monetary policy reaction is not yet foreseeable. More than 3 years after the deadly US drone attack on Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, Iran is still threatening retaliation against then US President Donald Trump. Tehran hopes to kill Trump, then US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, then Chief of US Armed Forces Central Command General Kenneth McKenzie, and any commanders who gave the order to kill Soleimani. That's what General Amirali Hajizadeh said on Friday night on Iranian TV. However, it's considered unlikely that the former US president or high-ranking US military personnel could actually become victims of Iranian attacks. Tehran has repeatedly threatened Trump with revenge in recent years. Soleimani was killed in a drone strike ordered by Trump at Baghdad airport in January 2020. He commanded the Al-Quds Brigades, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Foreign Operations branch, and was considered a hero of the Iran-Iraq War. Taiwan wants to further expand its military ties with the United States. Taiwan and the US continue to strengthen military exchanges, is what President Tsai Ing-wen said on Tuesday after a meeting with US lawmakers in Taipei. In the future, Taiwan will work more actively with the US and other democratic partners to address global challenges such as authoritarian expansionism and climate change, he said. Tsai did not give details of the planned expansion of military contacts, though. According to a report, a senior representative of the US Department of Defense had already traveled to Taiwan shortly before the congressional delegation. Taiwan is under growing pressure from Beijing, which regards the island, which has been seceded since 1949, as a breakaway territory and wants to reunite it with mainland China, if necessary, using military force. Tensions reached a new high last August when Beijing held large-scale military drills around the democratically ruled island in protest at a visit by then US Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taipei. The relationship between China and the United States has recently deteriorated further. The reason was the overflight of a suspected Chinese spy balloon over the United States. A US fighter jet finally shot down the balloon over the US East Coast. In Iran, the German-Iranian Jamshid Sharmat has been sentenced to death in a controversial trial. A revolutionary court in Tehran holds him responsible for a terrorist attack, among other things, as the justice portal Mizan announced on Tuesday. The judgment can be appealed to the Supreme Court. The activist Sharmat was reportedly arrested by the Iranian Security Service during a stopover in Dubai in the summer of 2020 and taken to Iran. Since then, he has been imprisoned in Tehran. Sharmat previously lived in the United States for years. His family and human rights groups have previously denied allegations against him. Sharmat was born in Iran in 1955. He came to Germany with his family when he was 7. He has had a German citizenship since 1995. In 2003, the software engineer moved to the US state of California with his wife and 2 children. There he became involved with the exile opposition group Tonda, which means thunder, which advocates a return to the monarchy. Iran's judiciary holds the organization responsible for an attack in a mosque in the city of Shiraz in 2008 that killed several people. 3 men have already been executed for it. As an engineer and IT expert, Sharmat also took part in a radio program run by the exile group. In 2019, the group's website, which has since been deleted but can be accessed in archive form, stated that the radio show broadcasts content on politics and history, but also instructions on how to resist. Tonda denounced the persecution of its members by the Islamic Republic. North Korea has said it has tested several military-guided missiles to strengthen its nuclear deterrent. 4 long-range cruise missiles were fired eastwards towards the open sea on Thursday. That's what the state media of the country, which is isolated because of its nuclear weapons program, reported on Friday. Through such exercises, the capacity for a deadly nuclear counterattack is strengthened, as they put it. After a flight time of around 2 hours and 50 minutes, the missiles hit their targets 2,000 kilometers away. The General Staff in neighboring South Korea confirmed the weapons test. But there are differences between what South Korea and the US have recorded through their surveillance techniques and what North Korea has announced. Details are still under investigation. Tensions are currently growing in the region. North Korea tested another ICBM last Saturday that could theoretically reach US territory. On Monday, North Korea launched 2 missiles that Japan and South Korea had identified as short-range ballistic missiles. North Korea is barred from testing any ballistic missiles by UN decisions. However, like ballistic missiles, cruise missiles can also be equipped with a nuclear warhead. Unlike ballistic missiles, guided missiles have their own permanent propulsion system. And this concludes this week's video on the politics in Asia and Oceania. I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.